waking up tomorrow and discovering that every limitation you believed about yourself was never real, only borrowed from fear, doubt, or someone else's opinion. Realizing that the version of you that you dream about, the confident one, the disciplined one, the successful one, has been waiting inside you all along, not asking for permission, but for action today. I want to show you that becoming that person is not only possible, it's inevitable when you decide to act like it. Every great transformation begins long before the results show up in the world. It begins in the mind. Our lives move in the direction of our strongest beliefs, whether they serve us or limit us. Too many people wait for proof before they try, but extraordinary people act as if before anything is visible. They move with the confidence of someone who already has what they want. And life eventually matches that belief. You don't need permission to grow. You don't need a perfect background. You don't need vast resources. And you don't need the approval of the crowd. You only need a decision to live in alignment with the future instead of the past. Today, I invite you to make that decision. Act like it's possible. Not tomorrow, not next year, today. Because the person you dream of becoming will never appear until you begin living like them now, thinking their thoughts, practicing their habits, and speaking their language. When you act like success is inevitable, the world begins to rearrange itself in your favor. Identity leads action because every choice we make rises from the kind of person we believe ourselves to be. Most people try to change their lives by changing their behavior alone, forcing new routines, trying to stay motivated, and attempting to push themselves through discipline. But behavior without identity alignment rarely lasts. You can try to act confident, disciplined, and driven, but if deep down you still see yourself as someone who always quits, somebody who isn't capable, or someone unworthy of success, your actions will eventually collapse back to match that internal identity. Real transformation begins when you align who you believe you are with who you want to become. Instead of asking, "What steps do I need to take?" ask a far more empowering question. Who is the person who has already achieved the life I want? Get clear on that identity. How do they carry themselves? What do they prioritize? How do they think about challenge, failure, and growth? What habits would they never negotiate with? This shift changes everything, because when you decide to live as the future version of yourself now, your choices automatically transform. Your actions stop being forced effort and start becoming something natural, an expression of who you are becoming. If you see yourself as someone committed to growth, you will learn even when it's difficult. If you see yourself as someone disciplined, you will follow through even when motivation disappears. If you believe you are someone who adds value, you will speak with confidence and stop shrinking yourself to fit other people's expectations. Identity sets the standard. You will always fight to stay consistent with the person you believe you are, whether that belief empowers you or limits you. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not distance, it's identity. Too many people wait for results to convince them to believe. They think, once I succeed, once I see progress, then I'll feel confident. But life works in reverse. Confidence is born from aligned identity and action, not external proof. You must first carry yourself like someone capable before the evidence appears. You must act like the person you want to be before you become them. You must behave as if it's already real, even when nothing around you has changed yet. Think about any major chapter of your life. The moment you decided, "This is who I am now," everything changed. The identity shift came first, the behavior followed. And this is true for anything, from becoming healthy, to building a business, to improving relationships, to mastering a skill. Identity is the engine, everything else is simply the outcome. So today, stop waiting for permission. Stop asking how long it will take or whether you're ready. You become ready by stepping into the identity of the person you are aiming to become. Every time you choose discipline over excuse, growth over comfort, and commitment over hesitation, you are casting a vote for your future self. Eventually, those votes accumulate into a new identity, and that identity shapes a new life. Act now like the version of you that already succeeded, and the world will eventually reflect that belief back to you. Consistency beats intensity because real progress rarely comes from sudden bursts of effort. It comes from repetition, from the quiet promise you make to yourself each day, and from keeping that promise even when no one is watching. Most people believe they need huge action to transform their lives, But the truth is that massive change is built from small, steady commitments repeated over time. A single workout won't change your health. A single study session won't make you an expert, and one day of discipline won't transform your life. But doing something small every day creates momentum, and momentum is far more powerful than motivation. Intensity feels exciting. It feels dramatic. People love big declarations, starting a strict routine overnight, trying to change everything at once, promising themselves they'll never make the same mistake again. But intensity fades because it depends on emotion, on feeling inspired, hyped, or driven. When that emotional energy disappears, the action disappears with it. Consistency, on the other hand, doesn't ask for excitement. It asks for commitment. It means showing up whether you feel ready or not. It means choosing progress over perfection and discipline over drama. Think about how nature grows. A tree doesn't burst into existence in a day. It grows quietly, consistently, every single day. Sometimes so slowly that you don't notice it until suddenly it's strong enough to stand through storms. That's how personal success works. You won't always see immediate results, but the work you do is compounding beneath the surface. Each small step reinforces your identity, trains your mind, and prepares your future. Over time, those small steps accumulate into something extraordinary. Consistency rewires your brain. Every time you repeat a positive action, you strengthen the neural pathway that supports that behavior, making it easier and more natural to repeat next time. Before long, the habit that once felt difficult becomes a part of who you are. That's why small daily actions are so powerful. They build a foundation, not a moment. Intensity tries to force results. Consistency allows results to grow. Most dreams fail not because people are incapable, but because they stop too soon. They give up when progress seems slow or invisible. They're searching for dramatic change instead of patient development. But the people who succeed are not always the most talented. They are the ones who refuse to quit. They keep showing up, even on days when progress looks tiny. They understand that repeating small actions creates big transformation. Doing something for 5 minutes every day is more effective than doing something for 5 hours once a month. 5 minutes daily builds identity, builds repetition, and builds reliability within yourself. That reliability is what creates long-term success. You learn to trust yourself. You learn that your word means something. And that belief becomes stronger than any obstacle. The life you want is hidden inside what you do consistently. Not once, not occasionally, but daily. Even the smallest steps taken repeatedly will eventually rewrite your future. Consistency is ordinary, but its results are extraordinary. Your words are not just sounds, they are commands to your mind. Every sentence you speak builds or destroys belief. When you say, "I hope I can," you reinforce doubt. You give uncertainty the steering wheel. You tell your brain that what you want is distant, questionable, and maybe not for you. Hope is gentle, but it is passive. It waits. It hesitates. It does not create momentum. People who transform their lives learn to speak with power, not uncertainty. They use language that reflects confidence, certainty, and identity. They speak from the perspective of who they are becoming, not from the fear of who they once were. When you say, "I am becoming the person who can," everything changes. That sentence aligns your words with growth, not limitation. It acknowledges that you may not be perfect yet, but you are actively moving forward. You are in motion. Instead of defining yourself by the past, you define yourself by the process. You step into the identity of someone capable, resilient, and determined. You shift from hoping to building, from wishing to working. Your brain begins to search for solutions instead of excuses. It starts noticing opportunities instead of obstacles. You begin to act differently because you believe differently. Language shapes expectation. If you constantly speak about what is wrong, difficult, or impossible, you train your mind to surrender. You strengthen a mindset that waits for permission or luck. But when you say things like, "I am learning," "I am improving," "I am rising," you create a psychological forward motion. You give your mind instructions to grow. You make space for effort, discipline, and progress. Consider how many people talk themselves out of success without even realizing it. They say, "That's just who I am. I'm not that type of person. I don't think I'm capable." These phrases quietly lock them inside limitations. They become prisoners of their own language. They reinforce a story that keeps them small. Change begins when you rewrite the story you tell yourself. Speak as the person you want to become, not the person you are trying to escape. When you shift your language, your posture changes. Your decisions change. The way you show up changes. You begin to walk into rooms differently, take risks more confidently, and treat challenges as part of growth instead of evidence of failure. You start building habits that match your future rather than protecting your past. Nothing in nature doubts itself. Seeds grow into trees without questioning whether they deserve sunlight. Rivers carve paths through stone without asking permission. Yet human beings, capable of imagination, discipline, and creation, often undermine themselves with the words they speak. If you desire transformation, start with vocabulary. Train your voice to support your vision. Speak possibility until it becomes normal. Speak progress until it becomes identity. Speak belief until confidence becomes natural. Replace, "I hope I can," with, "I am becoming the person who can." Your life will rise or fall to the level of your language. Speak like someone who knows their future is worth fighting for, and everything inside you will begin to move in that direction. The environment you live in is one of the most powerful forces shaping who you become, often without you realizing it. Humans adapt to their surroundings the same way water adapts to the shape of its container. If you spend your time around people who constantly complain, predict failure, and settle for less, it becomes nearly impossible not to absorb that mindset. On the other hand, when you surround yourself with individuals who believe in growth, who challenge themselves, and who speak in terms of possibilities instead of limitations, you begin to expand your view of what is possible for your own life. You start to think bigger, aim higher, and take actions you once avoided. Your environment plants seeds in your mind every day, and eventually, those seeds become the thoughts that guide your actions. Many people underestimate the influence of the groups they associate with. We tend to mirror the habits, behaviors, and expectations of those closest to us. If the people around you make excuses, you will eventually learn to justify your own excuses. If the people around you push forward, even when it's difficult, you will learn resilience. It's not about judging others or believing you are better than someone else. It's about protecting your potential. Your future is too important to leave in the hands of negativity, doubt, or small thinking. You owe it to yourself to choose environments that encourage growth rather than environments that keep you stagnant. Consider this: when a plant fails to grow, we don't blame the plant. We check the soil, the sunlight, the water, and the space it has to grow. Yet when a person struggles to grow, we are quick to blame ourselves rather than looking at the environment that surrounds us. Growth is natural when the environment is supportive. Transformation is possible when there is space to thrive. A dream needs the same conditions a seed needs: nourishment, care, and the right climate. If the soil around you is full of negativity, doubt, and discouragement, your ambition will suffocate. But when you move into a healthier environment, opportunities that once seemed impossible suddenly feel within reach. Sometimes, changing your environment means meeting new people, mentors, coaches, communities, or friends who think differently. Sometimes it means changing what you read, what you watch, what you listen to, and what you allow to influence your thoughts. You can transform your environment simply by filling your mind with voices that inspire rather than consume your energy. It may also require courage to step away from some relationships that have outgrown your future, not because those people are bad, but because they no longer support where you are heading. Growth requires honesty about what helps you and what holds you back. Everything you dream of already exists somewhere in the world: success, discipline, creativity, progress, confidence. If you place yourself where those qualities are normal, they will become normal for you too. When you walk into rooms where growth is expected rather than admired from a distance, you rise to the level of your surroundings. A new environment can change your belief, and belief can change your identity. Once your identity changes, your entire life changes with it. Discipline is often misunderstood. Many people hear the word and immediately think of restriction, limitation, or losing personal freedom. But the truth is the opposite. Discipline is the highest form of freedom a person can earn. Discipline means taking control of your actions instead of allowing circumstances, emotions, and excuses to shape your life. It means choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term comfort. When you commit to doing what needs to be done, especially in the moments when you do not feel like doing it, you become unstoppable. Every dream, no matter how large, begins with a simple action repeated consistently. A goal without discipline is nothing more than a wish. Anyone can feel excited when motivation is high, when inspiration is fresh, and when everything feels easy. But success does not come from moments of convenience. It comes from the days when you push forward even though your mind tries to convince you to quit. The person who learns to act independently of emotion gains a power that few people ever master. Emotions may fluctuate, but disciplined action turns into momentum, and momentum turns into achievement. Think about anyone who has achieved mastery in any field: an athlete, an artist, a leader, an entrepreneur. Their success was not created by one big moment. It was built from countless small actions taken when no one was watching. The early mornings when it would have been easier to sleep, the extra hour of practice when they were already tired, the commitment to study when others were seeking distraction. Those choices may seem small, but they form the foundation of greatness. Discipline makes the difference between those who dream and those who live their dreams. Discipline begins when excuses end. We all have reasons to wait, delay, or postpone. We are too busy, too tired, too stressed, too uncertain. But excuses are expensive. They cost us opportunities, confidence, and growth. When you choose discipline, you stop negotiating with your weaknesses. You stop letting comfort dictate your future. You take responsibility for your own outcome, and that responsibility feels powerful because suddenly your life is no longer controlled by chance. It is controlled by choice. When discipline becomes a way of living, something remarkable happens. Results begin to compound. Every day that you choose discipline, you strengthen your self-trust. You learn that you can count on yourself. And once you trust yourself, you stop doubting your potential. You begin to realize that success is not about talent or luck. It's about showing up even when no one is applauding, even when progress feels slow, even when the world tells you to stop. Discipline guarantees that the vision inside you has the chance to grow into something real. The price of discipline is discomfort, effort, sacrifice, and time. But the price of regret is far heavier. Discipline may feel difficult today, but it is far easier than living with the pain of knowing you could have done more. True freedom is waking up every morning knowing that you are moving toward the life you want, not drifting away from it. Discipline gives you that freedom. It is the key that opens the doors others believe are locked. It is the bridge between who you are now and who you are capable of becoming. Acting before you feel ready is one of the most powerful habits you can develop. Too often, we wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect amount of confidence before we take action. But the truth is, the perfect moment rarely exists. Life rarely gives us a green light on our schedule. Waiting for readiness is simply another form of hesitation. A polite way of staying in our comfort zone while the world moves on without us. Courage, therefore, is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move forward in spite of it. It's the willingness to take the first step, even when every instinct screams that you should hold back. When you act before you feel ready, something remarkable happens. Clarity emerges. Fear and uncertainty often exist because we are imagining outcomes in our mind rather than testing them in reality. The mind is an excellent storyteller, but a poor predictor. It can convince you that obstacles are insurmountable or that you lack the skill to succeed. But when you take action, you replace imagination with experience. You begin to see what works, what doesn't, and what needs adjustment. Action, in essence, turns theory into knowledge. It transforms, "I think I can," into, "I know I can." Another powerful aspect of acting before readiness is that it builds momentum. Every small step forward generates confidence. Every attempt, even a flawed one, creates a new level of understanding and skill. Courage is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Waiting for fear to disappear is like waiting for the sun to shine in the middle of the night. It will not happen. But stepping forward, despite the discomfort, starts a chain reaction. One small action leads to another, and before long, the fear that once held you back becomes almost irrelevant. You learn that action is the antidote to doubt. Moreover, taking action before you feel ready demonstrates a deep respect for your own potential. It is a declaration that your future self is worth investing in today. When you hesitate, you allow external conditions, circumstances, opinions, or timing to dictate your life. When you act, you reclaim control. You teach yourself that you are capable of more than you thought, that you can grow into challenges, and that the unknown is not a barrier, but a field of opportunity. It's also important to recognize that readiness is often an illusion. Most people who achieve remarkable things do so not because they were fully prepared, but because they decided to act despite uncertainty. The first step is never perfect. Mistakes will be made. Skills will be learned along the way. But taking that first step is what separates those who dream from those who realize. Fear will always exist, but action transforms fear from a paralyzing force into a guiding signal, a reminder that you are on the edge of growth. In short, acting before you feel ready is an invitation to step into your own power. It is the practice of choosing courage over comfort, experience over speculation, and momentum over hesitation. It is how ordinary people become extraordinary, not by waiting, but by moving, one deliberate, imperfect step at a time.